All right, and
You have to meet
welcome
Kakarot.
back to the Shardbreaker podcast. I am Midnight, and I am here with Mythic
Hi, Kakarot, by the way.
and Darkness.
Hello.
So we read chapters 18 through 22 this week of Mistborn: The Well of Ascension.
Oh shit, we were
Uh,
we were supposed to stop at 22.
uh-huh.
Every
Oh,
podcast, bro.
Every podcast.
I haven't done it for a while. First off,
Feels like
Mm-mm.
you have.
I don't know. I feel like you guys are projecting.
So yeah, so getting into so we had interesting chapters. I feel like we also get to meet my least favorite character in all of Mistborn.
Which is who? Zane?
No.
It's a girl, isn't it?
Yes, fucking Alriette is I hate her. I hate her with a burning passion.
Why do
She's
you
the
hate
most
her? She seems
annoying
so
fucking
fucking
bitch.
cool. I
I
love her.
despise
She's
her.
so cute. Breezy? Come on.
I want to strangle her. She's the type of person in real life
I
that
love
I
her.
would like
I love her.
despise with a burning
She's only
passion.
saying that because she has a thing for Breeze. Okay?
Yeah. Breezy is.
Ugh. She makes me want to puke.
Yeah, sure she does.
But anyways, so the epigraph for chapter 18 is, if only the deepness hadn't come when it did, providing a threat that drove men to desperation in both action and belief. So are you surprised that the deepness was not part of the beliefs or prophecies surrounding the hero of ages?
So you just said that, so.
You wait. So repeat the question?
Are you surprised that the deepness was not part of the beliefs or philosophies surrounding the hero of ages? Because based on this epigraph, it says that if the deepness hadn't come when it did, providing a threat that drove men to desperation, it's
You
implying
see,
that they
I
wouldn't
don't
have called Elendil the hero of ages.
I don't believe that it's not tied into it
Mm.
solely because it was the conduit for them to even try and search for that prophecy.
No,
Was it
because
though?
Quan called Elendil the hero of ages in
Before
sound
this.
based on the epigraphs before the deepness came,
Yeah.
and then the
So
deepness
Deepness
came.
came after.
Yes.
Yep. Meaning that there's a different reason that he needs to be the hero of ages.
So you're saying that
So
it wasn't a thing before.
so he's
Exactly what
so
she's
he's
saying.
implying here that the reason the other terrorists, the world bringers, probably changed their mind was because the deepness had arrived and they were desperate for a hero to save them.
Okay.
I had another question as well: is what do you think the purpose of the hero of ages is if to not defeat something like the deepness? Like what do you think
Destroy
the purpose
the
was?
gods. And the only reason I say that is because Says later is like, no, not Says. Somebody says, who said it about the gods? They were talking about gods, and then I was like, gods?
I mean,
Ooh.
Zane talks to God, so it's his
That's it.
insanity.
That's who I was. That's who I was talking about. Yeah. Okay. That's who it was. I was like, somebody. I know there was somebody that was like God, and I was like,
Yeah,
this is
you
the
were
Literally the
first.
first
you were talking last
chapter.
week about like I want to know about gods. I want to know about the
Yeah.
gods here, and then literally like I glanced at chapter 18 and I was like, oh hey, it's Zane.
Hey God.
You'll
Hi
get your
God.
wish. Yeah.
Hi God. Yeah. Like,
Kill them.
he's saying
Kill
stuff.
them.
I mean, evil God. I mean, okay. So he just reminds me of a god that I created. Well, I guess I didn't really create it. I took the name from a different god in D&D, but I mean, the projection of what that god is, I created. But a god known as Ruin, I think that's how it's said. Who just all he wants to do is fucking murder everyone. I like that. That's pretty funny.
That
Kill,
was in your
kill,
D&D campaign.
kill. Yeah, it's one of the major gods on my D&D campaign.
Is he? That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, it's a really awesome god, honestly. But like that's literally what it reminded me of because there was actually we had a character that I had a player that was like in talks with Ruin, and a lot of the times it was Ruin would be like kill them or sabotage this or whatever, like trying to get people dead.
Is he?
He just wanted chaos.
Cool.
Is kind of what I feel like this god inside his head wants, which would be really cool. Also, by your tone, I feel like I'm touching on something that I shouldn't be touching on, but it's okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tone got very different when I said the name of the god that I, you know, made in my D&D campaign. So maybe, if I'm right, it'll be the same in this one, because I was right about Electrum,
We'll see.
100%. But
So
if there's an evil god, there has to be good gods.
is there?
Unless they're dead, yeah. I mean, there had to have at least at some point been good gods. Yeah.
Anyway, so we start Zane's point of view as God whispers in his ear to kill Elend. I don't know what I was gonna say. Kill Elend. Zane thinks that he hates Elend even though he had just met him that day. He was everything Zane should have been. Was Zane's enemy because he kept Straff and Zane from ruling the Central Dominance, and he was also Zane's brother.
How before it said brother, and then later it clarifies it to half brother, and I was like,
it's technically half brother.
Yeah, because then I was like, so does that mean that he did have sex with a Ska woman? Awesome. This Mr. High and Noble,
yeah. But yeah, so last week when Darkness was like, Zane. Oh, for some reason I just thought like Zane Venture for some reason, and I'm
That's
like,
what I said. I said it.
Was that you? I thought that was Darkness.
Yep.
Who said that.
I said it.
No, I spoke about the fact that he could have had another, child.
He could have had another child, and then and then I was like, because he's under Venture, he's under Straff Venture. I was like, I kept calling him Zane Venture.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm assuming you guys weren't super surprised that Zane was Elend's brother.
Family? No. I mean, I was thinking cousin, but
yeah, you guys were thinking for a while that it was like the nephew that was referenced.
Yeah, whatever.
Straff's nephew.
It's the only thing that's been referenced about other family, so.
Oh, well, apparently, Elend doesn't know he has a brother, so.
He got jiggy with his fucking, with a Ska woman. Created a Mistborn.
So, yeah, so Zane leaves before Vin can return, as he notes that Vin seems to have a keen sense for where he is. He also notes that he would have liked to have met the survivor. Before he fully leaves the area, though, he retrieves a message from his spy from under a cobblestone. So it's confirmed that the spy is working with Zane and the Ventures in general. And I think you guys had kind of guessed, like, it was most likely that the spy was working for them. And I don't know if you remember this little fact, but there was confirmation in the first book that the Ventures did have a Kandra. There was a very brief scene.
Yes, a few times.
Where Ellen's like, oh yes, the family Kandra.
But I mean, there has been quite a few times, that book and in this book, they've mentioned the family Kandra. And I'm pretty sure when it was said before, when we were reviewing those chapters before, when he said something like, could it be my family's Kandra? I was like, yeah, it sure could be. Like, Dad's not dead. Hell, he's outside right now.
So we then skip to Zane confidently striding up to the Venture camp, thinking to himself that Mistborn let themselves be controlled by keeping themselves hidden and slinking around. Zane approaches the guard post, which he notes are mainly just for show as the firelight blinds them at night. He said he has 10 eyes watching. God tells him to kill the man there, but Zane ignores the voice, and when the guard questions who he is, he asks who else it would be.
I liked how, maybe it wasn't this guard, it was the next guard. The guy was just like, he's unimportant, just kill him. And I'm like, yeah, okay. You understand nothing.
Zane tells the guard to summon the king to his command tent, and the guard tries to protest, but Zane just gives him a stare, not even using emotional allomancy, and the guard salutes and runs off. As Zane wanders through the camp, he notes that he had been hidden away for most of his life, and thus lived in squalor, unlike his half-brother Elend. Although his life had made him hard and powerful, it had also made him insane. God tells him to pretty much kill everyone he passes, but he notes that what makes a man is how he controls his flaws, and that he doesn't kill when it commands him to for the most part. So he's like, it's just the same as being like deaf or like any other issue that you may have.
Schizophrenia is totally like all those things.
It's all about how you make use of your flaws. There's no issue with being insane and having God telling you to kill people.
Yeah, exactly.
I also like how he says, for the most part, he ignores when God tells him to kill people, which means he doesn't always.
Yep. I mean, there are times. I mean, I wish he would have listened when he finally saw his father again. Whatever.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about how how Zane was raised versus Elend?
Well, Elend seemed to be a pampered little princess, and that shows. And Zane was a hardened criminal, and that also shows.
What do you think, Darkness?
I mean, like, it makes sense, but I was just thinking, like, what if the roles were reversed?
But if Zane the Mistborn had ended up being the pampered one?
Yeah.
I mean,
like, I was wondering if that voice is the cause of like him being raised like that, or is
he
it
seems
the
to
effect
think
of...
it is. He seems to think
that
it made him
that's
insane.
the thing. I don't think that it's part of how he was raised. I think something happened.
I think it's a deepness thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
100%. I agree. I think it's the mist in some way. And I'm gonna say it this way because I feel like this makes a little sense. But I think it was the bad mist, not the good mist.
So you think it's like more like the
Because
daytime mist
yeah,
instead of like the normal mist
whatever that mist is, yeah. I feel like that's the evil god's mist, and then the other one would be just whatever mist is in the world, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you know that mist figure?
Yeah.
You know that mist figure? I don't think it's necessarily bad. I
I agree
I
with
think
you.
I think it was trying to stop something bad. At this point, I feel
I
like
think it's defending the hero of ages. So
I think it's well the define hero of ages.
I think it's defending Vin because
Okay,
I think she is the
but
true hero of ages,
we
and because
also have to think about the fact that it was in the past.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure it didn't say it stabbed him. It stabbed somebody
It
else.
stabbed a guy he
Yeah,
was with.
Yeah,
yeah,
meaning it was maybe it was protecting him from whoever that person is.
I mean, I think
but
it says that it specifically stabbed the guy like after he had been like, I really want to check out that lake, which we had talked about. Remember the metallic lake? The guy that
mhm.
got stabbed was the only guy who was like, I really want to go check out that metallic lake.
Which I mean, like,
Okay.
if we're going along the side that it was, trying to protect the hero of ages, then Alendi would have to be the hero of ages. So,
Yeah, pretty much.
which I don't believe it anymore. So,
You
Yeah,
don't believe it?
Quan is very convinced that
Quan is
Alendi
very
was not
convinced
the
that,
hero of ages.
but what if Quan is being manipulated?
I feel like that's a prophecy that was forced into like quote unquote completion at the wrong time. Like instead of
Possible.
being like brought up then, it should have been brought up like in the current time they're in.
Yeah, with Vin because it's Vin
Because
who
it's
is the
Van.
hero of ages. Yeah.
Or Ellen, who knows? I still have a little bit of hope there.
You're hoping Ellen is the hero of ages. Yeah.
You never know.
Could be. Could be. I think. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be in this book or the third book, but I think Ellen's gonna become a Mistborn.
Think Ellen's gonna become a Mistborn?
Yeah, I don't know how, but just in general, I'm running through possibilities. I'm hoping that there is a metal that makes Mistborns, but or gives Allomancy, but then
I think it's just the Well of Ascension or like the lake itself that's gonna do that.
you think the well is gonna give him powers?
Yeah.
Okay,
If
so
it
I
comes to that.
I found the information on the guy who was stabbed. So his name was Fedek. So it says
Great name.
Yeah, so Fedek, yeah, he notes he wanted to take a sample of the waters from the metallic-looking lake, but Alendi did not allow him to because they were on their journey. He's like, I don't want to stop to do that. And then Fedek was subsequently stabbed in the chest by a mist spirit wielding an invisible knife that had been following the group.
See, okay, so I remember the last time we were saying that
I didn't
you
remember
were
it was
saying
an
that
invisible knife. I thought it was a real
you
one.
were saying that it was he picked up a knife and stabbed somebody.
Yeah, that was me being wrong. So apparently it was an invisible knife, and then Elendi also specifically wonders if the spirit had been angered by Fedek's interest in the lake. Fedek survived the stabbing and continued on the expedition, but he was traumatized by both his wound and the sight of the spirit. And Elendi feared he would accidentally wander off a cliffside.
What if the spikes that make the Inquisitors or whatever are made from that like metallic lake sort of thing?
Oh, that would make sense on why he said it was a hard process to do.
And
Like, I'm
I
sure that can't be
figured
that
like
much.
if it's a mist spirit or whatever, and like Vin can sense it or some shit at some point, like there's and like we know that the mist reacts to allomancy. I mean, is it that far off to believe that that's where like the mist spirit
Originated
originates from? Yeah,
from the metallic lake or from
the metallic lake.
yeah. I mean, that would make sense. I guess I'm still holding out hope that Alendi is still like alive and is like trapped there or something. At the Well of
In
Ascension.
my mind, Alendi's buried already. I don't give a fuck about that dude.
I feel like he wouldn't have even been buried. I feel like once Rashek, if he is completely dead, I feel like Rashek would have just shoved him off a cliff somewhere after killing him.
I mean, somebody would come around and be like,
He'd be
"Hey, there's a
buried by
dead
like
body here."
snow or some
Yeah, he'd
shit.
be
No?
buried in like snow and time.
By erosion and shit. I mean, it's been 1,000 years.
Animals
so-
picking at his body.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a mist spirit took, or a mist wraith took him.
And
That would
converted
be
him or
cool.
something.
That would be
No,
cool. Shit.
Midnight threw in like that one key thing, and she's like, No.
Yep. Maybe
She's like, let's see if they catch on.
maybe a mist spirit came around and decided to become him.
A mystery.
A
Imagine there's
conjurer.
like a mystery just walking around with a
Yeah, a
fucking
With
conjurer.
a
Just
lens.
Lendy's
running around.
bones, you just can't
Yeah.
tell. Yeah,
What
anyways.
I'm wondering though if a conjurer only had like let's say I gave a conjurer right like the skull and the body but didn't give like the legs and the arms, would they just be like amputated?
Yeah, or I guess they would probably try and get something else's arm and legs
Replace
bones.
it? Yeah. I was trying to figure out, do we know how long they live? Or like how long they could keep one body?
I don't think he's mentioned. Orisa's pretty quiet on shit.
Annoying. Yeah.
On anything about them, yes.
Yeah, on the Khandra.
I did like the backwards way that he decided to give Vince some clue though. That was pretty funny.
Yeah,
It was like, all right,
we'll
you
get
do
we'll
like
get to
her.
him later. We should probably get through Zane's chapter.
No,
Yeah.
we can't. Zane's too sexy. He's gonna be here forever.
So where was I? So once at the command tent, Zane uses his allomancy to push the flaps open and goes inside. He asks for some paper and pulls a pen to himself and begins writing down the troop concentrations and night patrols. The officer
Like, tell me you're not fucking full of yourself. Like, what? You're just like, I can't even touch them with my hands. Let me just use some allomancy to move the fucking tent flaps. Like, come on,
too
man.
lazy to walk across the tent and grab a pen. Just gonna pull
Yeah,
it to me with an
float it
allomancy.
over here to me. Oh my god, man. You are a fucking lazy ass
Okay, but
motherfucker.
think about it more as training and less as being lazy, considering the fact that he controls and manipulates how much of an allomantic power he can use. Because
Still
if you
lazy.
use it to on a daily life basis, then you're gonna get better at it regardless.
Yeah, but you're still lazy.
True, I would do it myself.
Oh,
So.
I would 100% be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying it's lazy.
I'd be like gluing a little bit of metal to like everything I own just so I could like bring it to
Just
me.
moving around.
Gluey.
Man, all I'm imagining now is her putting like metal on Jesus and being like, here, come here.
I was thinking her just like gluing like little glitters of metal on like a mug, and Jesus just look at her like, "What the fuck is she doing?"
And then she just floats it over to her. You fucking midnight mind freak over here.
uh, anyways, so where was I? The author thanks Zane for his help, and Zane tells the man that the man is not his superior nor even his equal. He is seeing to the needs of his army and not helping. Zane then tells the man to leave, or he'll shove the pen through his throat, as someone has suggested, which likely is God.
Yeah, this is as my friend here has suggested. I was like, bro, you're just telling them you're crazy.
So after the man had left, Zane waits a while for Straff, but he doesn't arrive, so Zane goes to him. Straff says
Which
he's
is
late.
hilarious.
Yeah, Straff says he's late, and God tells Zane to kill him, which Zane thinks that Straff is the hardest to resist killing.
Yeah, 'cause you want to. Do it.
He tells Straff that they should speak in the command tent, but Straff does not get up and just sips at his soup. Zane sits down and waves off a servant who asks if he wants food. God tells Zane that he should be in Straff's place, but Zane thinks that Straff is more sane than he is. Straff then asks about the ATM, and Zane states that he isn't sure if they have it, but that Vin is beginning to trust him. So, do you think Vin will be stupid enough to ever tell Zane about the ATM?
Yes, 100%.
Do you
A
think, Darkness?
naive child.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. You see, I got more convinced a little bit later on when he had the thoughts about Vin.
That she might be able to save him?
Yeah, and like just in general, like how much faith he seems to be having in Vin, even though
So, where were we? So God continues to shout that Zane should kill Straff, so Zane takes a carving knife and begins slicing up his own arm as the pain helps to resist the voice. Straff says that Zane needs to make Vin use ATM again, as they need to see if she's run out, or have her tell Zane about the stash herself. He also asks if Zane really believes the lies about her and the Lord Ruler, as he doesn't believe a girl that could do that would be with Elend, and Zane cuts his arm again and Straff looks away in discomfort. So what do you think about Zane's way of dealing with God's voice?
I mean, that's a good way, honestly. Honestly, like, if he could just pick up a knife that casually, and this man doesn't, like, immediately feel threatened with his life, I was like, okay, something's wrong here. Because, I mean, like, for me, if I was Zane, that's the best way to kill him. Literally look like you're going to stab yourself, and then just stab him. He obviously lets you pick up a knife.
I mean, I think he does like think to himself. He's like, I wouldn't poison, because when we get into the poisoning part, he's like, I would never poison you. I would just stab you if I really wanted to kill you.
Yeah, like if I really wanted to kill you, you'd be dead, pretty much. I was
Yeah.
like, you're not wrong, because I feel like you could just use your allomancy and like throw the knife through his body.
The conversation then moves to Ellen and Zane. And Zane mentions that Ellen didn't seem to like the thought of coming to Straff's camp, but Straff says Ellen will come anyway. Thinks that Straff didn't like the
Not wrong.
siege.
Said he's not wrong.
Yeah, he thinks that Straff didn't like the siege, but he didn't have much choice with Set's army here. So, yeah, Breeze did a thing. Zane, however, likes the time he gets to spar with Vin because of it. He wonders if maybe Vin could save him. Straff pauses as he goes to sip at his tea and notes that it's poisoned with birchbane. He has a guard take away the serving girl, and Zane thinks he had told the girl that her plan to kill Straff likely wouldn't work. Straff seems to think that Zane is behind the assassination attempt. So, why do you think Straff is so convinced that Zane is the one trying to kill him?
So thought he was trying to kill him. So I said, I don't know. I kind of thought he was trying to kill him. Like I really did.
I don't know. I think he thinks that way because he's just like he feels in a place of power, right? And he's that type of person that's always paranoid. So like regardless of like whatever Zane said, like, oh, like I'm really not trying to kill you, like calm the fuck down or whatever. He'd be like, nah, you really are. So
I mean, he definitely seems full of himself, and that's definitely shown later.
I mean, obviously a woman wouldn't try and kill him. They're weak. But it had to have been Zane.
Yeah, it definitely couldn't be any of these mistresses that he thinks are ugly after fucking mid-20s.
which by the way was crazy to me. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
like
I
was
told
like, okay,
you,
I
Straff
understand.
is fucked up.
I was like, I understand, like, you know, having a preference, okay, like an age preference, but like
His preference is
mid-20s?
his preference is mid-teens.
No, this man seems like a pedophile.
Yes.
100%.
He
Like he
literally
just wants children.
We get to it in a minute, but he literally says that Amaranta, who's in her mid-20s, is a decade
Yeah.
too old for him.
Yeah.
Look,
50.
he's a bad guy as a person, but as a father, he's top tier.
No, he's not.
I mean, you know, at least he
I
loves
wouldn't know.
at least he loves his children.
Yeah, he just wants them
Right?
dead.
No, I meant
They want him
yeah,
dead
no,
too,
never
but
mind. I meant he. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what happens to the girls.
He loves them a little too
Oh,
much.
good. Anyways.
I'm getting flashbacks to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right. Same.
So, because of the poison tea, Straff says he won't give Zane any atium, which he apparently thinks is like a drug to Mistborn. Zane doesn't correct the misunderstanding, nor does he
like
mention
that.
his own personal stash of atium. You want to say something?
I like that. I like that. Zane.
I like drugs.
Is like,
I mean, what?
yeah, no. I mean, I like that Zane didn't correct him because I was like, yeah, that makes you gives you a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
If they think you need this, they're gonna like hold it over you, and when you find out they don't need it,
Yep.
all your power is just gone.
So God's voice comes back and asks Zane why he doesn't kill Straff, and Zane admits to himself it's because Straff is his father. It's his weakness. Straff then asks if Zane thought he could run Luthadel on his own, and Zane says no. Straff then drinks his poison tea. Once the tea is done, Straff asks Zane about Zane's spy. Zane says he doesn't know the A-team stash yet, but is worried that they might suspect him. Straff then says that Zane should keep trying to befriend Vin. So, first of all, were you surprised?
Say him.
They do, but remember, a Condra could be a him and be impersonating a woman.
Said him.
So were you surprised that Straff drank the poison tea?
I was like, what the fuck? But then I was like, in my head, I was like, nah, he has like some sort of fucking backup.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna kill him, like, you know, but I definitely was like, oh, okay, he drank the poison tea. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a power move, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, that makes sense when he explains it later, like that. I was like, that makes sense. You're all about thinking you need the power above everybody else. So.
Yeah. So we switch to Straff's point of view once Zane leaves the tent. Straff can feel the birchbane going through his veins, but he waits for Zane to be gone before calling for Amaranta. He burns his tin and feels that he has about an hour, so he relaxes a bit. As Amaranta enters the tent, Straff notes that he only brought 10 or 15 of his favorite mistresses on the trip.
Oh yeah, just 10 or 15.
Yeah, just 10 or 15 of the favorites. Some of them he doesn't bed and instead brings for their usefulness. He notes that Amaranta was attractive a decade ago, but she was getting into her late 20s now, and her breasts were sagging from childbirth, and she was beginning to get a couple wrinkles on her forehead. Usually he gets rid of women long before they reach this age.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on Straff's choice of women?
Fucking pedophile.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, god damn. Like, you're bad, but Jesus Christ. It's just, that's a whole new low.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just makes me concerned for who Ellen and Zane's mothers are.
Right?
Like,
I think though,
he
considering
forced them to
Ellen
have
is
fucking
the only
kids.
one he kept around and was his heir, I'm assuming that Ellen's mom was likely his wife for like the public eye, and probably Zane
Yeah,
was
but
like
here's
a
the thing. Here's the thing.
mistress
This
kid.
this whole fucking like city and area is fucked beyond belief. It would not surprise me if this old ass man brought a 16-year-old girl into a party and nobody batted an eyelash.
Fair. Because they're also
Like,
they were also the top house.
yeah, like it would not surprise me if like the gap was 20 or 30 fucking years.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm just guessing on his age, but I feel like he's like mid 50s.
Yeah, I don't know how early he would have had Elend. I'd assume he probably would have had Elend in his like 20s, because it sounds like people like with the court, like they do try and like get married at like
Roughly.
decent ages, like decently young ages, like kind of more medieval time ages. Like you're not getting probably married in your 30s, you're probably getting married in like your late teens or early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So he's
Yeah.
probably, if Ellen's like in his early 20s, Straff is probably at least in his early 40s, if not older. I'd say in his
Yes.
40s somewhere, early to late 40s.
So, mm, really fucking disgusting, but sure.
Yeah. So yeah, he's probably going for
I
girls
mean,
about 30 years
I
younger than
was
him.
also on the train. I was also on the train of Kelsier having Vin as a mistress, but until I learned the fact that Kelsier is an old ass fucking dude too. So
Yeah, Calcier was like in his mid to late 30s. So he was 20 years older than Vin.
I also feel like Vin is much more fucking, or much less a child than both the children, but still doesn't seem as much of a child.
I mean, she had to mature quickly because of
Yeah, of
a lot of
course,
shit
just like
happening in
Zane.
her life.
Just like Zane. At least she doesn't have a voice in her head telling her to kill people.
But she did have a voice in her head, so
Yeah, but it didn't tell her to kill people.
Told her not to
I'm
trust
sure if
people.
you, I'm sure if you gave it time, you know.
And she also didn't call it God. They're both schizophrenic, yes, we understand that, but hearing fucking voices in their head.
Maybe it's just part of being a Mistborn. Maybe Kelsier also had a voice in his head.
Yeah, what was
Honestly.
it? What was his master's name?
Gemmel?
Yeah, that's his voice in his head right there.
Here's Gemmel.
Oh God.
That's who he hears every day, and that's why he was like, "All right, I have to kill myself."
No, Kelsier thought so highly of himself. He has heard his own voice in his head telling him to do things. He's like, oh
He's
yes,
like, I
thank you,
am
other
God.
Kelsier.
Well, I mean, he is a god, so to some people,
Yeah, he is to some people.
it's the new religion. So
Yeah. So anyways, so Amaranta begins to disrobe once inside the tent, but Straff tells her to keep her clothing on as he notes he hasn't bedded her for over 4 years due to her being
no, he did not say any of that. He just said, "Put your clothes on, woman." And
Sorry,
I'm like,
when I say yeah, he
bitch.
told her to keep her clothing on. And he notes, like when I say notes,
Yeah,
mean like
like
he's
in his
thinking.
head, he's like,
Yeah, he's
"Why
thinking
would
that
I?
he hasn't
I haven't vetted you. Why are you still thinking
yeah,
I'm going to?"
apparently for
But
over
like,
4 years, so since she was probably in like her early 20s, he hasn't slept with her as she's too old to be attractive.
I am wondering how long he's had her though.
Who knows? Well, he says he knew her at least a decade ago because he says she was much more
Yeah.
attractive a decade ago.
Oh, I mean, if she's like 25 to 29, that's 15 to 19. You know.
Yeah.
Two of those ages would be fine. One of or most of those ages are not.
Yeah. So yeah, he tells her he needs an antidote for birchbane and possibly something else. So Amaranta begins making a general potion, and once done, Straff quickly drinks down the mug of bitter liquid. Straff then tells Amaranta to leave, and he thinks that Zane will probably continue to do as he commands as long as he looks strong. And also Zane
There was
sees
no confirmation they killed the the woman who brought tea in, right?
there is no confirmation, but I think he like gestures for the guards to take her, and like it's pretty much implied
It's
that
strongly implied.
it's strongly
but, like,
implied. But yeah, there's
but,
no
but what if there was like a whole coup going on, right? Where a bunch of guards and handmaidens and all that were all against him. They're trying to poison him. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll take her out back and kill her, and
I
then
mean,
they
it
just
sounds
never
like
leave.
this wasn't the first time someone tried to poison him.
Yeah.
And Zane's not the one doing it, so obviously it is a fairly common thing that happens. Enough that I think he notes that Amaranta isn't his only herbalist here. He has a few. Amaranta's just the best one.
Yeah, I did like that though, and then her comment of, "Oh, so just a general potion,
Yeah.
like of all things." Like
Just
first off,
throw it all together.
yeah, first off, my uncle is a fucking like snake, like he does the snakes or whatever, and gets bit. He's gotten bit quite a lot,
Yeah.
and I can tell you right now, putting multiple antidotes inside of you is not a good idea.
Well, I
Like
think he also notes that like if
they
anything
will
goes
affect
wrong
you.
with it, like he'll be able to tell because of like his senses, and then tell her, and she can make something else for him.
Yeah, which I find fucking phenomenal. That this man is able to use his fucking allomancy like that. Like I understood the whole smelling the tea and then like could
He can like
smell
feel
the
all
fucking
his
poison,
nerves.
but he could feel like the blood rushing through his body and where the poison's at. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is a little weird. That's taking senses to a whole new level.
Maybe Spook will be that good when he's Strath's age, if
Spook
he gets to be
is that
Strath's
good.
age.
Spook is that good. Spook is better than Strath, and he will always be better than Strath.
As long as the women he likes keep aging along with him, and he doesn't keep at the age that he currently likes, Spook is better than Strath. Because Strath and Spook currently have the same taste in women, it feels like.
Yes.
Chapter 19, epigraph is, if only I had passed over Alendi when looking for an assistant all those years ago. That's all it said. If you guys have any thoughts, I didn't really have a good question for that.
I mean, I really pass over him.
And just him lamenting the fact that, like, if he hadn't gotten close to Alendi, things wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Rashek would never have been able to kill him and take, power for himself.
Any thoughts, Darkness?
I feel like I've lost darkness.
No,
Oh.
I'm still here. This one goes with the next one too, where he was like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to think about here, but
Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't really have a good question for this one. This one was kind of just like a one sentence kind of whatever thing. Like Quan just
100%.
rambles. Quan needs to stop rambling. He only has so much metal to carve into. Like, how much time you got, dude?
Does he though?
He's got apparently a 5x5 sheet of metal.
Yeah, but he must write really tiny.
I think Sace does know when he discovers it that it's like cramped, tiny fucking handwriting.
He's a tiny handwriting, so he has a lot of metal, I'm sure. Still
I don't know. I just
I mean, we're only what, like barely halfway through the, not even halfway.
Not even halfway through.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got plenty more to write.
Quan. Anyways, so we have Sace's point of view as he drops his now empty steel mine on the ground. He notes that using his steel mines had allowed him to do 6 weeks of travel in just 6 days. He notes that as he had traveled, he had gotten rid of many used or mostly used bracers, as they were heavy in aggregate, even if most were small in their own. He notes that as he had gotten into the central dominance, the trees had gone from brown pines to white aspens. He then notes smoke rising ahead, enough that meant there was an army between him and Luthadel, which was only a week away. So, were you surprised by how fast Sazed was able to travel?
No.
At all.
I mean, like, really?
I was more surprised later when he got caught.
That.
Yeah, like, I was like, man, you are so smart. How did you just let these monstrosities decide to pick you up?
He got too into his research and observation.
But like, I mean, like that I understood. Like getting caught, like in being seen, I can understand. But like allowing them to just
Take you?
like
Yeah.
like I'm like.
Well, he knows he can't fight off that many.
But and he couldn't run because he used all his stuff. I remember that too. But like, he even noted the fact that like I could just go away with the breeze, but I'd have to leave all my metal behind. And then like, I mean, I think he did great the way he did it, but in the end, but like, it's just.
I think probably the getting rid of his weight probably would have just been his last resort. Like if things were going bad for him, he probably could have gotten away.
I mean, he definitely could have gotten away. I'm just surprised that it was like so easy.
He just didn't want to leave his stuff behind.
I'm just surprised he's like, okay, I'm gonna just gonna come down here and talk with these monsters.
So Sace finds some aspens on top of a hill and drops his pack at the bottom of a tree before beginning to drain his way into an iron mine as he climbed the tree. Once at the top of the tree, he taps his tin mine and swears by the forgotten gods as he sees an army not of men. The camp is described as simplistic and primitive. There were no tents or horses. Instead, there were just large cooking fires surrounded by figures. Figures are described. Figures are described as deep blue and between 5 to over 10 feet tall. They are
Fuck,
colorless,
it's
and Sayes notes that they never stop growing and die when their hearts can no longer support their mass.
the Kakarots. Gotcha.
Kolos.
Kakarot.
So Sayes drops down to the ground, grabs a coppermine, and then climbs back up the tree. He searches his coppermine until he finds his information on Kolos. He notes that they usually die.
Oh, see, I didn't. I guess I didn't even realize that he did climb down the tree and then back up.
Yeah, he goes down the tree and then back up. So he knows that they usually die before the age of 20. The oldest Kolos could get to be around 12 feet tall, but it was unlikely due to their hearts giving out, and also because of their violent nature. Sayce then taps his tin mine and can see some skirmishes between Kolos of the same size. And so I think they kind of describe it where his vision seems almost like binoculars, where it's like he can't see close up at all, but he can like basically magnifies really good on far away.
Which is really cool, but also detrimental, obviously.
Yeah. So, as Sayce looks closer, he also notes that the creatures are human-shaped but have necks that are hard to distinguish, and they were bald. They have loose, folded skin that doesn't seem connected well to their bodies, as you can see beneath the skin around their eyes and mouth. The ears also hang low, and the nose seem to be lacking cartilage. The skin hangs loose from the...
I want pictures.
The skin hangs loose from the creature's arms and legs, and the only clothing it wore was a loincloth. On the 8
I really
feet...
want pictures.
On the 8-foot-tall creatures, the skin was less baggy, but still didn't fit right, and the eye holes of the skin were still too large. It was like the creatures were wearing a mask of skin. On a 10-foot-tall creature, the skin was pulled so tight it was beginning to tear and bleed, and Sayes notes that it seems that although the creatures grow, their skin does not. So what were your thoughts on Kolos? And I'll get a picture while you guys talk.
I want one. They seem so cool.
I want one head.
I want one. They seem cool as shit. I don't want to be one. I want one.
It sounds uncomfortable.
Okay. A lot of pain, I feel like, but they seem to only have 2 emotions, so
They do?
they seemed to only have 2 emotions, which was like a very stoic look or very angry. It's noted later when they're going through the camp.
Yeah, Sayes notes that they're either like pretty chill, or they like go into a violent rage out of nowhere.
Nothing in between.
Yeah. Alright, so suddenly Sayes realizes that his little area of trees has been surrounded by Kolos. He thinks briefly that maybe he can fight as he has a pewter mind on, but then thinks otherwise as he sees the massive, crude-looking swords they carry. A deep, slurred voice tells...
So which is cool as fuck.
A deep, slurred voice tells Sayce to come down and shakes the tree he is on. He knows that the lips of the Kolos don't seem to work well because of how loose they are. After contemplating his options, he falls to the ground and reaches for his pack, but the Kolos doesn't let him have it. Sayce has a silent prayer to the god Duis? I don't know how to pronounce that. Who is said to watch weary travelers, before following the Kolos. As they walk, he wonders if the mentions of how violent the Kolos are exaggerated, until one of the Kolos in their group suddenly attacks one of the other ones out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It uses his fists, ignoring the sword on its back. Eventually the Kolos snaps the neck of the other, and takes the sword of the dead Kolos and a small pouch. So what do you think about the sudden attack of the Kolos against the other Kolos?
I had a funny line that I wanted to say, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, wait, I remember. He ate my food, so I killed him.
If you hear his explanation later,
It's
pretty valid. Yeah, it's pretty valid.
I hated him, so I just killed him.
Yeah. And all the other Kolos like, yeah, that's legit. Let's keep going.
Yep. Yeah.
I'd fit right in, bro.
Would you
want
though?
some flabby blue skin?
Yeah, would you though?
I'm fine with that. I don't give a fuck.
Really? And not
It
to
smells
live,
like fun.
and I'm pretty sure it stated they don't live that long either.
Up to be over
Perfect.
20.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like a massive Kolos right now. Then
You'd be dead.
Yeah, right. I think you'd be already dead.
they don't specifically state that they only live up to 20.
It says their hearts pretty much give out. I think he says it's like rare that they live 20. Like they can be, but like most of them don't get to be that big because like their hearts give out
look,
or they get
I'm
killed.
a fresh 20, okay? You know?
You're an elder Kolos.
Yeah.
Okay then. I
Alright,
mean,
well,
I am hoping we figure out, like, we find out how they become Kolos, because, like, honestly, the way that it seems, like, with their society, if they don't, like, create more, there's really not gonna be many left. So, like, they're gonna die out pretty quick.
so Sayes asks what that was about, and the Kolos says he had hated the other one. Sayes wonders to himself what is in the pouches that they keep, and notes that they all have one, and the larger ones seem to have a few. Once in the Koloss camp, the ones with the extra sword hands it off to a 5-foot Koloss and points in the direction they came from, causing Sage to wonder if he's sending them to burial duty. They then move into camp.
Burial.
They then move into camp, and Sage wonders how the Lord Ruler had controlled the Koloss. He also notes that there seemed to be no.
I said he didn't.
He also knows that there seem to be no female Koloss, or at least they don't look any different from the males. He doesn't understand how their society continues, considering how many they kill, but somehow they do. So yeah, how do you think the Lord Ruler
So he
killed them?
says this. That's exactly what Say said. I don't understand how they repopulate if they just keep killing each other.
How their society doesn't just exterminate themselves.
Yeah.
But
Like, are you asexual or not asexual? Are you, what the fuck is the?
it's still called
word?
asexual reproduction.
Is it still called asexual? Okay, yeah. Are you asexual? You just pop out a child.
Asexual reproduction.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I thought there was a different term for that.
I thought so
No,
too,
I'm
but-
pretty sure biology, unless they've changed it since I was in high school, but when I was in high school, it was called asexual reproduction, when organisms could just, like, split themselves and create, like, basically a clone of themselves.
Yeah, that's what fucking Midnight does.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, Midnight doesn't need to do anything, you know, like
I
us
wish I could
normal human
asexually
beings.
reproduce.
She just pops out a child.
I
And it
wish.
looks exactly like her. Like, no difference whatsoever.
But yeah, so my question was going to be, how do you think the Lord Ruler controlled the Koloss? And Mythic was saying he doesn't think he did.
Oh,
I mean, I think just like this guy does. I think he just kind of he's. I don't think the Lord Ruler was scared of them because I think this kid is scared of them. But I think kind of like that. They're just kind of listening to him because you know it's convenient at the time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Lord Ruler was scared of much. As far as we know, JSU isn't a misting at all.
He was scared. He was scared of
So.
losing his jewelry. So
Well, yeah, but I don't think the Koloss would know to take his jewelry.
Oh,
They're pretty
I
dumb.
was thinking about you guys were saying the general one. I was thinking about a specific one,
specific. Oh, of asexual.
like the reproduction type.
Oh.
The asexual
Yeah,
reproduction.
I was thinking of the parthenogenesis, which is like a specific way of doing it. But you know,
I'm not good at
Confused.
biology.
Yeah, can you explain what that is?
so it's essentially when you produce both of the necessary things by yourself
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
from
I
both
gotcha.
of the
Yeah, no,
Okay.
asexual reproduction I think is more of like a microbe, like
Yeah.
type
It's just like you just
organism
pipe
type
it-
thing.
Yeah, you just pipe a fucking like clone of yourself out, basically.
Yeah.
Like I think
That's what I was
earthworm.
saying.
Aren't earthworms technically like
Yeah.
just sexual? Because I know if you cut an earthworm in half, it still can live. They're both
Yeah,
fine.
but I
don't know if that's
no,
technically
don't
considered asexual reproduction. I'm not good at biology.
don't think so. I
That's
know
not.
because I think worms actually do reproduce sexually in some way.
Yeah, they do, and also it's not considered that because technically, the other half isn't a replica or a reproduction of it. It's just
Mm.
itself, but separate.
Yeah. So a lot like chickens, worms can change their biology, their reproductive biology.
Mm.
So they can, because they do have sexual organs. So
I fucking love biology. Anyway,
I'm not the biggest in science.
I
mean,
I
do
hated
enjoy
biology
it.
because it was too much memorization. I'm shit at memorization. I can do
I like history.
I didn't like history there. I can do like English where you're like examining things. I could do like math where it was just like solving problems. I could not do like history and biology. I could do chemistry. I could do like physics better. I could not do biology.
I could do all of those, and I took them in advanced forms, but except for physics. Fuck math. But,
You
don't like math?
mm-mm.
Interesting.
I liked math until wegot to calculus, and then I cried.
I like math.
Oh,
I like math all the way through.
don't even,
Oh, man. I like math all the way through, calculus included.
I could not do calculus and statistics killed me.
I can't do stats. Oh
Yeah,
my
stats-
god,
stats
that's
is
the
the
class I'm
worst.
failing every
I
time.
failed stats twice before I
I'm on my
passed it.
third one.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
took me 3
maybe.
times.
People are crazy.
Stats was like the only class I failed.
That's the only class I failed.
I relate to you so much, Darkness.
I don't relate to either one of you.
Stats was literally like the highest failed class at our university. Everyone failed it.
I'm not
Constantly.
surprised.
I mean,
but-
statistically.
Oh my god.
Statistically, it was the highest failed class.
Yeah, statistically.
But anyway, so Sazed is led to a tent with human guards. The Koloss throw over Sazed's pack to the human guards, Say says he's a keeper of Terrace and his things are only of value to keepers. The guards say that they'll see what his majesty has to say. Inside the tent is Jastes Lekel, wearing a gentleman's suit and balding despite his youth. Jastes is surprised Sayes knows him, and Sayes mentions knowing Elend, but saying he wasn't sent to spy by Elend, and just happened to be passing by. Jastes then says he wants Sayes to be his steward, but Sayes says that Terracemen are now free and serve no one. Jastes accepts that and seems embarrassed. So were you surprised?
I actually found that kind of surprising. He just accepted the fact that he was like, "We're free. We don't serve any people anymore," and he's like, "Okay."
I mean, to be fair, he was one of Elend's friends, and they were the ones who were like, kind of like, "Oh, things aren't good the way they are" type people.
But I mean, now he's trying to fucking take over a city. Great friend.
Well, I think
it's a bit more complicated than that.
I think he was one of the ones that got like chased out of the city during like the House War, and so he's been having probably a rough time of things, and I think he's gone a little crazy. He's like, I need something to not go into squalor.
Is he talking to God yet?
That's a good question.
Because if he's not talking to God, then he's not crazy enough yet.
But anyways, were you surprised that Jastes of all people was in charge of the army of Kolos?
Yes. Why would
weren't expecting him to come back, were you?
No, when I first saw it, I completely forgot who he was. I was like, this name sounds so familiar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. I had to go back a little bit too.
So also, how do you think Jastes controls the Kolos? Do you think it's the same way as the Lord Ruler or a different way?
No. I mean, whatever the Lord Ruler did, Ruler did, but I don't think I think he's too scared of them for him to be actually in control of them. I think he's just kind of like, it's like a mutual thing. Like, oh, I'll give you this and you do my bidding.
I think it's the promise of battle. Because they seem like battle centric. So.
I can lead you to armies to fight if you kill me.
Yeah, here's 2 right outside this city.
And maybe that's how they reproduce.
Oh, they battle people?
Like maybe it's like some sort of infection.
Oh, you think it's like some sort of weird disease thing, like a zombie plague thing?
Kind of
makes sense.
Or maybe it's just they believe in this god, and then they're like, you know what? If y'all battle and like they lose, they they become one of you.
Or some of them will become you. Like I can see it. It'd be a pretty cool idea though.
Because I was actually wondering because she's just like
too much. She's laughing too much. I think we're onto something.
Doubt. But like I was wondering because Stace was like, I don't know if these creatures have religion.
He didn't really think they had like a culture or society type thing at all. He was like,
but he specifically brought up how he was like, I don't know if they have religion.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's Sayes. He doesn't think he's always gonna think of religion.
Yeah, but it has like I feel like just that in general has a big factor.
So Sayes
or Kakarot God,
Oh,
yeah, Kakarot God.
The Sayes knows the precarious.
Are they Saiyans?
Oh gosh. Sayes knows the precarious position Jastes is in, and in with the Kolos, but Jastes insists that he is in control of them. He states that no one would deal with him without money or an army, so he got himself an army. He now wants to go to Luthadel.
Never would get money.
He now wants to go to Luthadel to get ATM from Elend, and after some more discussion, Sayes says he can bring a message to Elend for Jastes. Jastes says to tell Elend that he has 20,000 Kolos, and that he can help Elend against the 2 armies if Elend hands over the ATM. He'll even let Elend keep Luthadel. Sayes is then allowed to leave with his things.
First off, you're missing like so much of this with his backsass comments and shit that this man made. It was insane.
Maybe
he was just straight up being fucking passive aggressive against this kid, and I was laughing the whole time.
And he's like, I apologize, I am not the representation of all free terracemen. I'm just
or keepers is what he thinks.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just me. I apologize.
Maybe that's how the Lord Ruler. Oh shit! Fuck. Anyway,
Russia.
No, I was thinking, what if like he gave them ATM?
You think the Kolos want ATM?
Yeah.
ATM. I think Kolos want to fucking be free from whatever the fuck's going on with their guys.
We don't know what's in their bag, right?
We don't know what's in the little pouches, no.
Could be ATM, so.
Could be.
Oh god, a Kolos fucking Mistborn.
Oh god. Like a fucking Titan coming at you.
Or wait. What? Huh? What you got, Chris? What you got, Darkness?
A ferrochemist.
A ferrochemist fucking Kolos.
Think about it. Healing and also like making yourself even bigger.
But what if sound I'm hearing? Oh, never mind.
What it? Oh, sorry. Continue.
You're
No,
fine.
you gotta say it now.
Yeah. So what if God, I forgot completely because you.
Look what you've done, Darkness.
Yeah, I know.
You know, now we're even.
Yeah, I know. I've done that to you plenty of times. So.
I was thinking, what if like?
Oh, I remember now. But go ahead.
Mhm.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, you
Okay.
go.
What if this is like representation of using too much pewter?
Interesting.
Like you go past your limits on pewter. I'm pretty sure pewter's the one that the thug is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You go past your limit on pewter, and it creates this issue. And then the other thought I had was, what if they were able to use allomancy and they used pewter? Because that would be scary.
I was
Would be very
thinking,
scary.
what if this is one of the metals we don't know that like is used in ferrochem?
Creates you into this.
Because we don't know how. Like, we have no idea how any of the other metals that we know about allomancy that they have used have
Yeah,
like
like
effects on
Duramin or whatever the fuck.
Duralumin.
like even the 11th metal or like ATM and all that shit.
The 14th metal or the 12th metal or the 13th metal, 15th metal, 16th metal.
Maybe that's where they come from.
Also, we do know what ATM does. Remember, ATM's the aging one.
ATM's the aging one?
Yeah,
We've gone over this a lot, Darkness.
a lot. I have
Really?
it on my list. I have it on my list.
I don't remember.
We've gone over this a lot.
Maybe it's the other ones. Who knows? You know.
We know what all of them except for Duralumin do out of the known metals.
We know what Electrum does.
It's not a known metal.
First off, it is a known metal
It's
to
not
us.
a known metal.
We know what Electrum does. No,
Not a
do we
known
know
metal.
what? Okay, what you assumed Electrum was? Do we know what that metal does?
No.
Then we don't know what that all.
Okay,
How
yeah,
the
so-
fuck are you gonna confuse what midnight?
I thought it was Electrum.
Anyway, we gotta continue because I do gotta go pretty soon.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
So chapter
no, you
20.
don't. You have to stay.
Chapter 20's epigraph. It wasn't until a few years later that I began to notice the signs. I knew the prophecies. I am a Terrace Worldbringer after all. And yet not all of us are religious men. Some, such as myself, are more interested in other topics. However, during my time with Alendi, I could not help but become more interested in the anticipation. He seemed to fit the signs so well. So do you think the fact that Quan did not know his religion extremely well was the reason he got this wrong?
I was more interested in the fact that anticipation was capitalized, but okay.
Yeah, so I think the anticipation is, I'm assuming what they're calling the bringing of the Hero of Ages. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be
So,
like a part of their religion.
It's them getting desperate for the anticipation that fucks them over.
Sounds like it. So yeah, so like he, I guess, knows enough about his religion that he knows kind of the basic signs of the Hero of Ages, and so he started looking into what's called the anticipation, which I'm assuming is like what to look for to determine who the Hero of Ages is, like when you're waiting for him. And so he started researching that.
Happened to check those he checked those boxes, but then something came later that was like, no.
And then he's like,
this
oh,
is not the Hero of Ages.
Maybe he's not.
I mean, maybe this god that talks to Zane is in his ear telling him no.
Also, do you think because Quan wasn't that great with his religion, do you think maybe he was wrong about Alendi not being the Hero of Ages? Do you think maybe he actually was, or?
I think Alendi is definitely the Hero of Ages, and I think somebody was in his ear telling him that he's not. Like,
trying to
sway him off the trail.
You think someone was trying to get Quan to go back on what he said, but it was too late.
Pretty much. I mean, I still don't think Alendi's all that good of a person either, but...
It sounded like he had pure intentions, even if he didn't always make the best choices based on what we heard.
And then I think he became an asshole, so it's okay.
He still wanted to do what was best for the world overall, but yeah, I don't think he was always maybe the best person.
I think Reshek was the best for the whole world. You know?
Okay.
He had the right idea.
Darkness, do you have any thoughts?
About what? Sorry, I got a message I had to respond to.
Do you have any thoughts about considering Quan's lack of knowledge in his religion, if he was correct
that thinking about that low-key pissed me the fuck off, because why the fuck are you looking into this shit knowing damn well you don't know anything, bro? Like I get it, you know the basics, but like leave that one to like someone specialized, you know?
Yeah, he's like, you know the basics. He's like, oh wait, this kind of matches. Let me like look into my religion a bit more. And then he was like, oh, this guy matches the Hero of Ages. And then later he's like, oh fuck, this guy doesn't match the Hero of Ages. But by that point, everyone's like, but he is the Hero of Ages. What are you talking about? He's gonna save us from the deepness.
Yeah, you literally told us he was the hero
You
of
spent
ages.
probably
Why?
like potentially years convincing us he was the hero of ages. What the fuck are you talking about?
Why would you change your stance now?
Fuck, bitch! You just want to go against us? Do you not like that we're on your side?
Do you not like that we're also world bringers? You know.
So we have Vin's point of view as the group sits in Ellen's study discussing the upcoming meeting with Straff. The group is worried about Straff killing Ellen or taking him hostage. Ellen, however, says he won't kill him, and they should have orders to not let Straff into Luthadel even if he has Ellen, as the Assembly has the power to get a new king. Ellen states to the group that he's confident he can do this.
I don't like that, but yeah.
Ellen states to the group that he's confident he can do this, but Vin notes he has his hands clenched. He then tells Ham to draft a letter to his father saying he'll come for a visit and that he wants to introduce a special person to him. The group isn't sure Straff will let Vin come, but Ellen says that Straff underestimates him and that underestimating will likely extend to Vin.
And it does, as we've already seen.
So do you think Straff will allow Ellen to bring Vin?
Yes. He's gonna think that she's a weak woman and can't do anything anyways. Are you?
Oh, there's a bit of a situation happening. I don't know if you want to pay attention to. There we go. Yep.
Goodbye.
Anyway, there was a central question there, right?
Do you think Straff will allow Ellen to bring Vin?
Yeah, for sure, bro. Like, really? Like, he's like, he wants to be seen as this person of like, oh, I am like on top. This is like, I'm powerful no matter what you do. So, I wouldn't doubt it.
So Vin worries that being a strong Mistborn hurts Ellen's pride as a man and that he should be with someone who is more like a woman. She also thinks on Zane's comments about how she isn't the same as the others. Just being her normal, insecure self. Doxon then brings up that the Assembly wants to meet with Ellen, but Ellen says he says to send the Assembly an apology and that he trusts their judgment and he'll make it to the next meeting. Which I don't know if I would trust them by themselves, but okay. Based on what we saw at the one meeting. He also states that this meeting is his meeting with Straff is an informal parley and that the Assembly shouldn't be able to move forward with anything even after the meeting with Straff. Vin then worries about the Conjure spy and begins to focus on her bronze. She notes Breeze using his subtle soothing as per usual. When she focuses on it, she's able to pick out that Breeze is soothing Ellen. She uses Duralumin and notes that Breeze is soothing away any worry or anxiety that Ellen may have. So what are your thoughts on Breeze helping Ellen out here?
I thought it was like low-key cool that he's doing that, and I feel like he's just used to doing that.
Yeah, I think Vin thinks here she's like, oh, he really is like, he doesn't like people to think he's a good person, but he's a good person.
In my head, I was like, this is one of the reasons Midnight likes him. Like,
I love Breeze. Breeze is great, but I despise Alrian. Fuck Alrian. She can go burn in a hole.
anyway.
I mean, I think she was a fucking great fucking version. A little quirky, but great nonetheless.
She gives.
I mean, I feel like you're using knowledge from further into the book.
No, I hated her from the second I met her. I'm gonna be honest. I hated her from the second I met her. It's her personality. Her personality. I don't care what she does in the book. Her personality.
So she does
I despise. I'm not saying if she does or not. I'm saying her personality is the type of person I despise.
She's going to be the enemy. Got it. All
I
right,
cannot stand
her.
her.
Well, technically, she already is the enemy. She's just.
She's Seth's daughter.
She's just a daughter of the enemy. She's not the enemy. Besides, Breeze and her for life.
No.
100%.
How dare she go near Breeze?
Anyway.
Yeah, I knew it was a Breeze thing.
It's partially a Breeze thing. It's also just I despise her as a person.
I literally even said it. I was like, she's got
Jesus, and she still wants more men.
Shame on you.
Gosh. So we move to Ellen's point of view as the group leaves the room until it's just Ellen and Tindwyl. Tindwyl's first comment is that Ellen is an embarrassment. She says that he should be looking for counsel from his friends, but they shouldn't be allowing him to do anything. She also notes that his friends shouldn't be calling him El, but instead my lord or your majesty.
Which is so fucking redundant.
Which, by the way, right here, my hate for her grew. Like, this whole fucking scene with her just talking to him, instantly, like, I want her gone.
I like Tindwyl.
I honestly kind of agreed with you. I mean, I like her too, don't get me wrong. I think she's going to be a good asset for him. But I definitely was also in that same boat. But I didn't get there until she started talking about Vin, and I was like, all right, bitch, back the fuck off. back the fuck off.
But she has
She
this
No,
redeeming
has to marry
statement
him.
at the end. She's like, I just wanted to make sure you really loved her, and that there are
That's
exceptions
so
that can be
fucking
made.
manipulative and
I
not
love
only
it.
that,
ugh.
but doing that shit in the
Ugh.
wrong type of situations, gonna get her ass beat.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
5 in.
Anyways, Ellen then says that Tinwell should call him Your Majesty if she's insisting everyone else do it, and then she does call him Your Majesty with a smile. She then notes his clenched fist, as Finn had noticed earlier, and Tinwell also says that Ellen hedges his language too much, and that he needs to stop feeling guilty. He needs to make judgments and feel confident in the moment, and that it was the best. Can't speak. Feel confident in the moment that his judgments were the best ones he can
normal,
make,
so.
and if it ends up being wrong, he needs to apologize and do better next time. Tinwell then asks why Ellen hasn't married Vin yet, and that it isn't good to have a mistress. Ellen then admits that Vin won't marry him, and Tinwell says maybe he should find someone else. However, Ellen quickly tells Tinwell not to speak that way of Vin, and that he loves her, and Tinwell apologizes. She says that even if the relationship doesn't look good for a king, sometimes exceptions can be made. So, yeah.
It is not a fucking exception.
Did you expect this response from Tinwell regarding Ellen and Vin's relationship?
I expected that she was going to do tests like she did, but I don't like the fact that she talked about that.
Ellen didn't like the fact that she talked about Vin.
I just don't like her, bro. I didn't like her from the moment I fucking met her.
I mean, I like her. I think she's, like I said, I think she's a great asset because, I mean, honestly, Ellen is a terrible king.
I feel like, yeah, there's things she's helped with, but I feel like she's overestimating what she can do. And she's pushing, like, so much shit on him. Like,
First off, I think this is just terrorist hate from you, but it's okay.
Wow, are you being racist there, Darkness? To terrorist people?
Yeah, fuck it. That's why they need to go back to their program, bro.
Oh my gosh.
This is why Darkness would be a noble in this scenario.
Fuck the Ska, fuck terrorist people.
He wouldn't be a misting or anything, though. He'd be a nobility with no powers.
Yeah, 100%.
Luthadel would be mine, you know?
So suddenly Demo knocks on the door.
Wait, you would take it from him?
Yeah, it'd be the fucking 4th Army.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, the 4th one. Do you have people who would actually back you? I doubt it. You're pretty much excommunicating everybody who probably could back you.
No, you see, I have all the ATMs that I can just like.
You have all the ATMs.
Y'all see me work with ATMs, don't you?
I have a fucking army of Condra. You know.
Yeah.
Alright, so suddenly Demo knocks on the door and states that Set's daughter has arrived and is looking for Breeze.
No, looking for Breezy. I know, but...
Well, he doesn't say Breezy there. So, anyways, that's the end of Chapter 20. Chapter 21.
Wait, what? Did you just pass her whole thing?
No, she's in a different... She's in the next chapter.
Okay.
It's literally the next chapter that they go into her.
Okay,
the chapter ends with them saying she's here, and then they go into chapter 21.
My Audible just kept noting, so...
At this point in this chapter, it was 5 a.m. Just saying it.
Okay, so chapter 21. So this is when we start getting all these notes of what the Hero of Ages was said to be like in the prophecies. So we're gonna get a whole bunch of these. So this is the first one, which was, he was born of a humble family, yet married the daughter of a king. So in book 1, Alendi seems to dispute this fact. So what do you make of that?
I'm confused.
Oh god.
So the prophecies have stated that the Hero of Ages would be born of a humble family, which Alendi is, but married to the daughter of a king. And in the first book, I believe, in the epigraphs, they say he wasn't technically married to the daughters of kings, but he was like married to all these women from different countries, and so technically he was like could be considered related to other countries. Like this was like one of the stretch ones, and Alendi kind of notes it, being like, I don't think this really fit me.
Oh yeah. So I'm guessing Darkness is about to say that this fits Ellen. So.
No, hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay, go ahead.
Just think about this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Ellen. Fuck Alendi. Fuck Vin. Breeze is the one.
Oh, no. You think Breeze is the Hero of Ages? Damn.
Think about it.
But
was he?
He's talking about the girl, so.
Yeah, married the daughter. I guess you're saying he marries Alrienne.
If he does, he fits.
And if he doesn't, he doesn't. So.
Yeah, which means still possibilities. So.
Still Ellen, yeah. I mean, alright. Easily can put it to Vin because gender is a spectrum. So.
It also is, we know, translated, we don't know if, like,
It could just be the offspring of a king.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how people are back in the days, you know.
Yeah, they think men are the best.
Mm-hmm.
Very sexist. I mean, that's shown quite a lot in this book. So.
So yeah. So we have Ellen's point of view as he examines the young woman that had arrived. She is wearing a light red dress, light-colored hair, and appears to be around 18. The girl throws her arms around Breeze's neck.
Perfect for his father.
The girl throws her arms around Breeze's neck, and Ham watches dumbfounded. Breeze seems uncomfortable and is blushing, and Ham's kind of just like, I didn't expect my joke that he was chased away because he slept with the guy's daughter to be true.
But apparently it seems like it might be.
So Breeze introduces her as Allrian Set, daughter of Lord Ashweather Set. So apparently Set's first name is Ashweather.
Which, by the way, I was like, it was 5 a.m. I was like, this motherfucker. I was laughing my ass off, bro.
Some motherfucker named this man Assweather.
I feel like it's like naming someone Hail Weather or
Maybe
like
you see it
Snow
all the
Weather.
I mean, it's like it's almost as if his parents looked out the window and go, "Hey, ash is falling, so it's the ash weather time. Let's name our kid Ashweather."
Today's wind weather, obviously.
I mean, like, first off, it would have been better, in my opinion, to just named him Ash.
Right?
Like, take the
Why
weather
add the
part
weather?
out. Yeah, like, take the weather part out. Just Ash is fine. Like, perfectly fine.
Yeah, so daughter to Lord Ashweather Set, King of the Western Dominance. Allrian then tells them that she wasn't sent, but she instead seeks asylum. She complains about living in a war camp and says that her father had sent Breezy away. So she complains about a whole bunch of things, such as like there's no fresh water, it's dirty. She has to worry about like the guards peeking on her because there's not a lot of women around. She's like,
I love that part.
She's like, how dare he bring me here?
How dare he bring me to war? That did make me kind of like, okay, why did you bring her? But it was like,
like, why did he bring you?
I don't know.
Yeah, why would he bring her?
So she almost mentions why Breeze was sent away, but rambles on in a different direction, even though Ham tries to prompt her to respond, because he's like, yeah, why did he send Breeze away? So yeah, what were your initial thoughts on Allrian?
Liked her. She was quirky.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, an image of a spider came out in my head. That family has weather-based names.
Allrain.
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 He named her Allrain with like an accented way to say it, so it doesn't sound like Allrain. Allrian.
Oh my god.
Allrain.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Ashweather and Allrain. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Does he have any other children? Because damn.
We'll find out later if he does.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so he does. We want to see what it's called. You know?
Yeah. I mean, can we just get the names of his children? Jesus.
It's probably not a spoiler. I think he has a son as well.
Do we know his name?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I don't remember his name.
Okay. I just want to know if it's another weather-based fucking name.
Yeah, I'm looking. Where does it say his family? Oh god, what the no wonder I don't remember his name. What the fuck is this name?
It
Here,
is
I'm just gonna like copy and paste this name. Okay. This is his name. Njornden.
Yeah, make that a weather-based name, Darkness.
It's probably a weather phenomenon. If I search it up, like in parts, it's probably gonna pop up with some weather shit at this point. But you know, I'm not gonna do that.
Anyway, so Ellen says she can stay for now and has
I feel like he's got some sharp wit.
Ellen says she can stay for now and has some servants go to get her some rooms and run her a bath. He says they can speak more at dinner. She quickly gives Breeze another hug before leaving the atrium. Once she's gone,
bye, Breezy.
Ham and Ellen both begin to laugh, and even Doxson cracks a smile. Ben then appears, asking what that pink thing was, and Breeze corrects her, saying her dress had been red, and also mentions that they'll likely have to get a pastry chef for her, because she's very particular about her pastries. Ellen tells Vin that Breeze and Allrian are an item, and Vin says it's gross considering the age difference. Breeze insists they aren't an item and says they aren't that far apart in age. Vin says the girl acts like she's 12. So how do you feel about the potential relationship between Breeze and Allrian?
I don't mind it.
As long as she's of age, and she's not actually 12.
I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be like 18, 19, yeah. At the very least.
Yeah, how old is Breeze?
I think he's like in his. I think he was around Kelsier's age. I think he's probably like in his late 30s. I think they're probably 20 years apart.
Whatever you guys want to do, that's fine.
They're adults, but it's still
Yeah,
kind of...
I mean, but that'd be like me dating a fucking 18-year-old. So.
Breezen says Vin pined over Kelsier, but she says she did not, and he's sick for insinuating that as she looked to Kelsier as a father.
All I could think of at that moment though was Brandon Sanderson wrote this into his own book. Like he straight up was like, "Oh, I'm gonna completely get it out of everybody's mind." Right?
He keeps repeating it. He's like, "Do not think of Vin and Kelsier as a couple."
Yeah.
Like,
But,
You know what?
what's the you know the Streisand effect?
no.
Okay, so the Streisand effect is like when like you don't want something to come out, like you don't want like a bad slanderous thing. It's usually used for like celebrities. But like when they have like they've done something, right? And a niche amount of people know about it and they're like, oh blah blah blah, we're not we don't want to say this. So what they do is they try to not allow people to know about it by like coming out saying like things like it's not true and stuff like that, right? Like where nobody was already talking about it, and then now because you said it, now everybody's gonna start talking about it.
Well, he does say
Because
that
now
like
you
his
brought a
beta
lot of
readers
light
were
to it.
constantly talking about it, so I think that's why he was putting this in constantly.
Yeah, but like here's the thing: you did it already enough.
He did like twice in the first book already.
No, in the first book, you already set the ground rule of like he is the like what father figure to her kind of idea. Like that's where you should have just let it go.
Yeah.
I get the whole thing of having characters have their own like you think of a character having their own mentality, so like what they would think. And yes, I'm sure there were plenty of people that would probably have looked at their relationship and been like, oh, they have an actual relationship kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So like I can see that, but when you write it into the book, it just becomes more where people are going to be like, oh, well, maybe let me fan service this now.
All right, so Dawson then says that they should either keep her hostage or bring her back to set for negotiations, but Ellen says that for now they'll let her stay and see what happens. So what do you think they should do with Ulrian?
Honestly, thought like at that moment I was like, yeah, just let her stay, bro.
Yeah,
Like she could be useful.
She's complaining enough,
Yeah, so chapter 22, the epigraph is, he could trade words with the finest philosophers and had an impressive memory, nearly as good as my own, yet he was not argumentative.
Is this another thing of like of the Hero of Ages?
I think so. So if there is a new Hero of Ages, who do you think could match this description and the previous one?
Say the second one again.
If there will be a new Hero of Ages, who do you think could match this description and the previous?
No, say the second.
Oh, he could trade words with the finest philosophers and had an impressive memory, nearly as good as my own, yet he was not argumentative.
I mean, it's still sounding a lot like Ellen to me. So,
can you say it again?
He could trade words with the finest philosophers and had an impressive memory, nearly as good as my own, yet he was not argumentative.
One more time?
Can I stop saying this over and over?
I mean, you asked the question. We have to analyze it, all right?
Now we know that it wouldn't be Midnight.
100%. Midnight is definitely not the Hero of Ages.
I'm definitely not. My memory is garbage.
I mean, Ellen still falls into that category.
That's why I said Ellen would still fall into that category. I'm trying to think of how to put Vin in that category, but like she's pretty argumentative, so I don't know.
The thing is, she's also not because of how timid she is from her background.
But she is though.
Yeah, but I mean
now.
Like Ellen definitely fits way better though.
Yeah, 100% right now. But I mean, we could also fall into that Alindy thing again, where we assume somebody is the Hero of Ages that isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's gonna be quite a few more of these, so we'll I'll keep
asking the same question, and I'll keep making you repeat the epigraph.
I'm gonna keep asking if it changes your opinion on who you think could be the potential Hero of Ages.
You know who the Hero of Ages is?
Hmm?
You wanna know who the Hero of Ages is?
Who?
It's fuck, I can't remember. Kelsier. There you go. Kelsier.
Think Kelsier's gonna come back and be the Hero of Ages?
Yes, I want Kelsier coming back.
He's not coming back.
I know, but I want him to.
The end of the first book, you said he's definitely coming back.
Yeah, well, but
because you said no one dies, and he's definitely gonna be back.
Nobody dies in this book. What are you talking about? But no, like I mean, aside from, the only reason I say he could be dead is because fucking his bones got eaten. But I mean, we don't know a lot about Khandras, so maybe they could actually take the forms like of somebody without eating without devouring the bones for like a short amount of time or something.
Who knows?
Because it's not like he stayed in Kelsier's body for a long time. You know
No,
what
I
I'm
think he
saying?
only stayed in it for like the one day.
Yeah, so like maybe there's a time limit on it, but he can actually do so. You know.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's get into it because I know Darkness is on a time limit here. So we have Vin's point of view
I
as
don't give a shit about Darkness's time limit. Let's
As
keep
she
rambling. Fuck it.
as she sits out in the mist that night. She's worried about the fact that she can't do much like in the past, that things were changing, and she wasn't able to protect Elend or Luthadel. She then hears Ham down below talking to some of the guards. He wanders off into the mist, and Vin follows him. Oriser howls and jumps out, causing Ham to be startled and flare his pewter. Confirming that Ham has allomancy, Vin comes out of the shadows and apologizes, saying that Ham startled her hound. So considering we've now found out that neither Breeze nor Ham are the spy, if the whole allomancy thing is to be believed, which, I mean, seems pretty likely that Oriser is being truthful about that.
He kind of states it a little bit.
Yeah. So
she's like, they can't be allomancers, right? And he's like, I will not answer that. And then she's like, okay, whatever. He goes, but I will confirm that you are on the right track. I'm like, come on, dude, just tell her.
But yeah, so considering we've kind of crossed those two people out most likely, who do you think might be the spy at this point?
I already know where Darkness is gonna go.
I genuinely don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
really? You're not gonna even meme? You're not even gonna make the meme joke for it? Oh, okay.
The meme joke.
Like the one that, because there's the one person in this entire book that I actually like, and nobody else
Oh,
does.
Spook.
I was gonna go for it, but I mean,
I don't think it's Spook. I just don't. I mean,
yeah.
I'll be very surprised if it is. I don't want Spook to be dead, you know?
Do you think it's going to be one of the Allomancer crew members? Because like it seems like it'd be a bad choice.
No, I don't. I don't think it's going to be the Allomancers because a Contra would know their limits. And...
Yeah, you'd think they would be like, this is a bad idea.
I mean, Spook wouldn't be that bad of a choice, but you know.
I am more looking forward to how Vin is going to get each of their allomancy to flare so that she can see that shit.
Is Spooky
I was actually
only
confused.
one left of the Allomancers?
Is he? I don't think so.
Because Doxson doesn't have allomancy.
Yeah, she so she got Breeze because Breeze is very easy. And
not Ham.
She got Ham.
And then the only other crew members that are still there are Doxson and Spook. No, Clubs. I don't think she tested Clubs yet. Clubs does have allomancy.
I was about to say.
Oh, she was like, "It's Clubs." Just Clubs. Yeah, she comments about Clubs.
Yeah, but who? I was like, because she makes a comment when she's looking into the allomancy and notices Breeze's.
It's funny because she makes this. Yeah, she makes the same comments about like Spooks as I did too.
Was what?
With like his speech and shit. I'm just like,
That's yeah, she's like, because is he getting better just because he's getting better, or is he getting better because he's not him?
Yeah.
Yeah, like is it like the thing not knowing how to fucking
that's the only thing I could see being like a valid reason that he could be a suspect. But other than that, like, and the other thing, like I said, I want to know how she's going to get each one of them to use their allomancy. I mean, for me, I would have just straight up walked up to the person and been like, "Hey, just want to make sure. Could you flare your allomancy for me?
Hey, I'm testing out another new metal. Can you try this for me?"
Exactly. Like, there are so many ways you could do that. Well, I mean, there's other ways you can do it too that I could think of that, like, for non-allomancers or whatever, of like giving each one of them, each person that's in your like closer knit group, a task and see if like it somehow gets back to, whoever. But
all right, so Hamden mentions that Elend has had him looking through the guards for the spy, and Vin also mentions that she's out of atium. She asks if there's a way to fight someone with atium, but Ham says the only ways known are to surprise them or put them in an unavoidable situation. Once they leave Ham, Oriser asks about why he had to surprise Ham, and Vin tells him it was to test if Ham was an allomancer. Vin then asks if Oriser is sure this will work, and at first he is secretive, but eventually says the plan will work, and that if she senses allomancy, the person is not a Kandra. Oriser then asks why Vin hates him, and Vin replies that it's because he ate Kelsier's body, but Oriser says it's something else.
Yeah, this part was like so good for me.
So Vin admits it's because Oriser knew that Kelsier was planning to die and didn't tell any of them or try to stop him. She asks if Oriser didn't care that Kelsier was going to die, and he says he was just a master to him. So, did you expect Oriser to think of Kelsier as special as all the others do?
No.
Yeah, no, they seem very like neutral.
So Vinland thinks about how she's been unfair and mean to Oriser. She judged him by the character he played when he was Renault, and has hated him for what happened with Kelsier after that. The only time she's ever asked him about himself was when trying to get information from him. Vin tries to ask Oriser about his life, but he says he doesn't want her to know him. Vin then begins talking about how masters hate you for the powers you have, and Oriser agrees and asks how she knows about these things. Vin replies that even though she didn't know she was a Mistborn, people used her for her powers, whether they knew of them or not, just like how people use the Khandra for their powers. Vin then explains to Oriser how she met Kelsier, and she realizes that the first time they met, she was technically already with Kelsier's crew. She says the Khandra aren't the only ones who get abused by humans. Oriser asks if she's ever been beaten so much that they know because they know that she can't die, and she says no.
That shit saddened the fuck out of
I
me.
know.
When he's like, "Oh, really? You know about my pain? Well, have you ever been beaten so bad that because they know you won't die? Like, oh my god."
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm just imagining this horrible person that's like, all right, I got like 7 skeletons. I just want to beat the shit out of you today.
Yeah.
And you can do nothing.
Yeah. And she says no, but that as a Mistborn, she is sturdier and can be beat harder than most people can.
Which,
so she has a little bit of knowledge on it, but not as much, obviously, as he's gone through. So what did you think about their little bonding?
I mean, at least they're bonding.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, the fact that he got literally axed to death as whatever the fuck is it? The fuck guy's name was. Because I'm gonna say Rowan.
Oh, the Inquisitor.
No,
Renox.
Renox, yeah.
Oh, when he was Renault, yeah.
Yeah, Renox. Okay. So yeah, when he got axed to death, I was like, the fact that like he could do that, get that, made me think about like when he's saying, oh, like have you ever been beaten so bad because you know you can't die? They know you can't die. I'm like, it just reminds me that there are times that I've seen like in shows and stuff like that when people have immortality and these other people are like torturing them, that they just do some of the most heinous shit to people.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, well, you're immortal? Okay, let me just cut your head off. Like, will you die then? Oh, you won't? Okay, well, let me just make this extremely painful for you now,
Yeah,
like,
and we know that Oriser can feel pain and everything.
Yeah, like that shit, it made me sad. I was like, this sucks. I feel like he met some really terrible noble that was like, I'm just sadistic and I want to do some real heinous shit to you.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him.
I know.
Not
Poor Oriser.
It's definitely not as bad as becoming a fucking dog.
You don't think being a dog is worse?
No, the way he says it, the way he like portrays being a dog, it almost seems as if the torture he went through is less bad than being a dog.
Yeah.
I was like, what that?
So Vinland says that Oriser doesn't need to hate all of his masters, while Oriser says that Khandra will never be accepted by society. They need the contract because before that they were hunted down by humans. Men love power, and the contract gives them the power over the Khandra so that they would rather use them than hunt them. So what do you think about this reason for the contract and the fact that they didn't always have the contract?
Well, if they hunted them though, I mean, we've already seen they can't really die though.
Maybe there was a way to kill them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you're hunting them, that means that you had some way of killing them. Meaning that there's probably somewhere out there that they can, be killed. I mean, honestly, this is coming from a outside perspective on it. Conjure are very scary. They could be anybody. So, like, nobody should want that as a society, because you would never know.
I'm pretty sure I brought up the fact that they would be hunted.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me at all. So, because like I said, like,
it's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, like you would do that to somebody that or something that you didn't fully understand enough.
Imagine going out into the mist and shit, and like you leave your family and stuff, and you get like killed or some shit. Someone like a mystery picks up your bone, goes back to your family, and is living a happily life with them. Like.
None the wiser. But I mean, if you look at it from the other perspective as well, though, Darkness, at least his family is now still, or their family will be still not happy.
But the thing in my mind, the Mistwraith would take that family as an opportunity to have more bones.
I don't I feel like it's not exactly that cut and dry, I guess, but it could be, I guess. They don't seem as if they're vindictive in the way that they do things so far. Right? We haven't seen anybody that, in my opinion, that is so vindictive. It's like, oh, I got these bones. I'm gonna go sit with this family to get more bones. You know?
I mean, if you got a bone farm,
So going into the dog part, so Oriser says that he feels naked being free to be himself in the dog bone. So like he doesn't like that he's not impersonating someone.
Yep.
But he does like how unobtrusive they make him. So like they let him like kind of blend in. Kind of like probably how Vin likes to be kind of like hidden and not stared at all the time. Vin then says that there are good people out there, although she doesn't consider herself one of them. Vin then feels elementic pulses in the distance, similar to the mist spirit that is on a building in the city. She focuses on the far-off pulsing that sounds like a drum. So are you worried about the mist spirit that is hanging around so much? What do you think about this drum-like pulsing?
I think it's the well Ascension.
What do you think, Mythic?
I think, yeah, I'm just making the drum sounds, but
Oh,
I kind of agree in some aspects with Darkness that it's something regarding the hero of ages trying to call out to Vin.
well, we do know that Alendi was hearing pulsing.
I think it's just the well of Ascension. Yeah.
And are you worried about the mist spirit hanging around? Still kind of just hanging
Nah.
around.
If fucking Rashek was more of a threat to Alendi than the Mist Spirit, then they're good. Just don't fuck with the lake.
What do you think, Mythic?
I mean, what was the question, real quick?
Are you worried that the mist spirit, about the mist spirit still hanging around so much?
Am I worried about it? No.
Oh.
I think, like I said, I think it's going to be a benefit to her.
So suddenly Oriser asks if she heard the footsteps and then snaps out of her trance of focusing on the sounds. She's surprised that Oriser alerted her even though not asked, and she thinks this is a big step even though it seems small. She moves silently towards the person to try and surprise them, thinking it may be a Mistborn, until she recognized Sazed. Sazed begins to speak, but then throws herself at him and gives him a hug. He tells her that he has disconcerting things to tell her about. So that was the end of chapter 22, and I've got a couple overview questions for this episode. First of all, what do you think will happen now that there are 3 armies, not just 2?
I'm thinking the Colossus or whatever is gonna wipe out the other armies. Straight up. Just, And I was also thinking,
Sorry.
nah, never mind. I don't think it's a possibility anymore, but like I was thinking maybe the promise to the Colossus was the Stash of ATM that supposedly Luthadel has, but
But we all know it doesn't. Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think, Mythic? What do you think's gonna happen now that there are 3 armies?
Well, I think the Colossus is gonna fucking murder the 2 other ones.
I'm surprised you didn't fucking ask a question about what was in the bag.
We didn't have much information on the bags.
I mean,
I was kind of more focused on like
information on a lot of things that you ask questions about. So.
Well, there was a lot of information in that chapter about like the Colossus, so
We'll see.
you got a lot of information on them. You guys happy that you guys finally saw the Colossus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Waiting on that.
I'm glad we got to see Kakarot. Yeah.
Gosh.
We totally didn't say anything about Colossus army eventually going into the
I know,
fold,
right?
but
I totally did not call that the Colossus were just gonna come murder the fuck out of these 2 armies. I mean, I was hoping it was just gonna be one army, but
I'm pretty sure I've been fighting for the Colossus for like since the last book.
Yeah.
When we saw them in the game we played, yeah.
No, I think he means
Not
like
even before.
the one sentence mention of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I want to know what those are. Tell me now.
Their team's so cool. Yay. I mean, I don't really like them as I like them as a character concept, like a concept of a
I like them as a
monster. But like I don't know about like how they survive,
They are my people. I will fight for them.
Are they your people?
If you can call them that.
I feel like we're gonna find out something later that you're gonna have to
I'm
change
fine
your
with
mind on that. Okay.
You know what? Staventure, best father. Those people, my people.
Oh my god. Oh my god. No.
Anyways, next question. What do you think is going to happen with the Mist Spirit? Do you think it's going to interact with Finn more? What do you think its kind of plans or goals are?
I mean, our whole idea is that it's leading her down the fucking path of Ascension. So.
Actually, it's Ellen using one of his misting abilities.
Yeah.
He's using this rare metal or whatever, and he's like following Ven around because he's bored. But yeah, no, but obviously there's gonna be more interaction. There has to be.
Yeah, because we had to figure out what the fuck it is, and we were told by a reliable source that we would get all our questions answered by the end.
You'll get questions answered by the end of the trilogy. I don't remember exactly when certain things. So, anyways, my final question is: what do you think is going to happen with the mists, the mists that are coming during the day?
Gonna murder more people.
Well, it's gonna come more often in the day, and it's gonna like head towards Luthadel, is my prediction. But
murder more people.
yeah,
Do you think it's going to get to Luthadel?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Vin did say that it was coming a little earlier, but not like as much as some of the other towns that Sage has been to yet. She was just like noting that usually didn't come till like it was completely dark, but it had started coming at like sunset instead.
Mm.
So yeah. So any other theories or anything before we end the episode?
I've displayed every solid theory that I could think of
Yep.
that don't need more backing. I do have other theories, but we'll leave that for more evidence.
Okay. I mean, a theory doesn't need evidence, so I want to know your
Yeah,
theory.
but I do that every time. So.
Okay then.
Anything else for you, Mythic?
Nah, I'm good.
Alright, so next episode we'll be reading chapters 23 to 27. So look forward to that.
No.
No?
No.
So yeah, thank you to everyone who is listening. We really appreciate it. We're at this point almost at 1,000 plays of our podcast.
Nice.
By the time this
popular.
goes
Woo.
live on Spotify and all the other podcast platforms, we'll definitely probably be over 1,000. So thank you guys all so much for listening. We really appreciate all of you, and we'll hopefully you'll hear us again next week. Bye.
Yeah, look out for this.
Bye.
Bye.